everybody. My name's Craig.
I'm Brian.
I'm Burke.
And I'm Michelle.
This is Get Dunked On, the podcast.
Should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind?
I'm so
more
disappointed.
Than a bird, I'm more than a plane, more than some pretty face beside a train. It's the same song. If you listen to it, they're the same song. They're the same song.
Are you making like a statement they're the same song, or are you actually saying like, no, they're literally the same
I'm
song?
making a
like
statement that they're the same song. If you listen to like they fit together too well not to be. I'm just saying.
Well, you went like
it's a good mashup. I expect that on your YouTube channel next week.
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go with the lyrics that before you said anything that I knew about the whole like New Year song. That's
exactly what you said last year.
Is it really?
I swear to God, that is the exact same thing.
I have learned nothing in a year.
Yeah,
365 days have gone by, and I haven't learned shit.
It's literally, we have come full circle in 365 days to the exact same situation. So for this year, I gave a little bit of an extra saying that it's messed up. It's the same song. Oh my God, what's happened to us?
I was just disappointed you weren't singing one, since that's what you've been singing all day.
Yeah.
I was happy we had a song I actually fucking knew.
No. Pulled the fucking rug right out from underneath you guys.
That's right.
And me,
I had to be seasonal. I had to be seasonal, guys.
You had to be seasonal. But hey, yeah, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Listening. It is January 1st, as long as you go by the American New Year.
And if not, Happy Arbor Day.
Yep, of course. All of those things. Happy those days. Yes, for sure. So
Happy Hangover Day?
Yeah, there's probably quite a few hangovers. I'm sure a lot of people are watching some form of football today. I believe football still exists in 2018. Is that American tackle football still exists in 2018? Is that true?
We can pray it doesn't.
Hey, whoa.
I won't do that. I just won't participate unless if somebody's offering free wings, then I will cheer for whatever team you want me to. Not named Ohio State.
What about Yankees?
I'll give you that. I'll do that. Ooh, that's
yeah,
football.
At this point, I would.
Really? You cheer for the Yankees if somebody offered you wings?
Yeah, as long as they're not playing like Detroit, like that. Like if they're playing any other team, I'd pretty much be in.
All right.
If you're offering me free wings,
this is why I cheer at Flyers games when we go with work, because we're not playing the Red Wings, and it's free game, free food. So yeah, go Flyers.
There you go.
Okay.
And I actually kind of, this is going to sound so weird because beforehand it was like this massive clout behind, oh, they've won so many things, they think they're better than us, blah 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 blah. And then they went through, and it wasn't long, but they had a little period where they weren't very good and whatnot. And then now they've got a bunch of young players, like players that I like because I'm older and I don't just look at them as like the evil empire. It's like, I kind of like that kid. He's 23. He has no fucking he thinks it's cool he's playing for the Yankees, but it's not like he was, he sold his soul for this. I mean, there's some people that sold their soul, but this guy just was brought up in the system and he's playing well. So I'm like, I like that. And Detroit's traded a couple guys over to him, and I like them because they're old Detroit guys. So I've kind of fallen off that wagon where it's absolute hate for the Yankees, where I'm kind of like neutral on all teams, except for the DH, which does not need to exist anymore. Hashtag hot takes.
Seems like this year you did a lot of growing up.
No,
Craig.
I'm sorry. The pitcher batting needs to not exist anymore. We need the.
I was like,
we need DH in all leagues. Sorry,
yeah.
we need DH in all leagues. DH in all leagues. So
yeah. So you've done a lot of growing up this year, Craig. I'm proud of you.
I think the only team I just can't cheer for is crap,
Belmont.
No, whoever. Yeah, Belmont.
Inside joke. Don't worry about it, guys.
Fuck it's not the Rangers. Who's the fucking Dallas football team? I hate them so
Cowboys?
much. Cowboys. Fuck those things. I hate the Cowboys.
I thought you were gonna say Man U.
No, not even that, because I'm just not that invested in.
Yeah, that's where I'd be. Everybody else loves them, but I don't fucking care.
For that, and then I still have this seething hate for University of Tennessee, even though I do not watch football.
Yeah, actually, that would be on one of the teams that you couldn't bribe me to cheer for. I would show up to your party and eat your wings, but I would not cheer. I couldn't do that one.
Like
that obnoxious orange.
I don't want to stick the whole podcast on the level of like if they were boned or boneless wings or whatever, but I'm just that's the limit. Is this or your Tennessee?
Tennessee, Ohio State, And I wouldn't openly like go in and be like, yeah, touchdown Ohio State. I've wanted them to win before because it's advantageous for the, like, you know, for Michigan or something along those lines. And there's times like that for Tennessee as well. But I'm to the point. But overall, I think those two teams might be one of the only ones that I wouldn't.
Yeah, I have a seething hate for the Titans too, but that's because they were the Oilers.
Oh,
not like I like the Texans, but like I still don't like the Oilers.
Is there any other random things that you guys, Brian and Michelle, is there something that would be not sports related, but something you're like, I would never, you couldn't bribe me, and not obviously like a hard line, but something that's completely just doesn't make sense, where you wouldn't,
playing Overwatch.
There we go.
I fucking love it.
There we go. Brian, whatever you say is negated now. It doesn't matter anymore.
I don't even know if that's true. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Thank you.
Eating Ekidoba over Chipotle.
Oh, you're out of the podcast.
No, I got.
When one of us wakes up on not on the toilet tomorrow.
All the times Brian's not here, he ate Chipotle right beforehand.
Which is once in 2 years.
This is what happens when you get food poisoning from one restaurant. Speaking of being 2 years, this is the end of the year. And so what we kind of wanted to do today is just talk about things from this year that we liked, things from 2017. And not exactly things that only could exist in 2017. Experiences we had in 2017, something we did in 2017, a game we played in 2017, TV show, like anything that happened for us personally in 2017 that we like were like, hey, that was really cool. That was one of my favorite moments, you know. They don't necessarily have to be huge personal things or anything like that, but like just things that we really liked. And if they were, you know, huge and personal, that's cool too. But just we wanted to get like our top things for the year that we really enjoyed, that kind of like helped make our 2017 to where we liked it or brought it to be what it is. So I know I didn't necessarily go through and make it like number 1 through 5. I kind of just have my top list. Like these are all just like big things for me.
Yeah.
Is that kind of how everybody else did?
With the exception of one thing, the rest of mine are just all lumped together.
Okay. I could rank mine if I needed to, but if we're all just going to like throw them out, I'd rather do it that way.
Throw them out. Yeah.
We'd rather do it that way. So for us to figure out who is actually going to start us off, I'm going to have a little bit of fun with this. If you guys are all right with me having fun.
I was promised quizzes.
No fun.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be fun. Brian, you're 1. Burke or Michelle, you're 2. Burke is 3. I am 4. Okay, I'm rolling a D4. I go first.
Okay.
Damn it! What are the odds? So I'm gonna start with something that was it might be on other people's lists, but pretty much. I'm just going to go with the Nintendo Switch. That was one of the coolest things for my 2017. It brought me a ton of fun. There was a ton of fun that I had with the Switch. And I say the Switch because there's multiple games. There's Mario Odyssey that my wife and I are still going through and trying to complete as of this recording. We're at like 800 power moons. So we're like getting really close to being at the end. Obviously the launch title Breath of the Wild was just incredible, and there was so much fun to be had with that game. And then Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle was a ton of fun because like that game, all 3 of these games were co-op games for me. Every one of them was a co-op game. I started off with Breath of the Wild. Burke, Brian, your brother Mike, or our guest host that's been on our show a lot, and I went through and played that game together, even though we live in 3 different states. We got up on Saturday mornings and I would Skype call them the game, and we would go through and we played that entire game together basically. And it was one of the most fun experiences I've ever had playing a Zelda game, because that game is so much open to like, how do you want to solve this problem? And so the 3 of us thought so differently. So when one of us would find something that it kind of worked, but it didn't work, the other one would come in with something that was like, there's no way that's going to fucking work. The other, Mike would say something, Burke and I are like, that's fucking stupid. That's not going to work. We do it and it worked. We're like, fucking A, this whole game is built around like, how do you want to play this game? And it was just, that was one of the coolest things. And then obviously, like I said, Mario was co-op. And then I did the same thing with Mario plus Rabbids with Burke. Him and I went through a lot of Saturday mornings. We got up and we would, I would Skype call him. It's a strategy game for people that don't know, kind of like XCOM. And we would just sit there and we would probably talk out our move for like 6 minutes before we would do one move. But we'd fucking complete the battle in the most efficient and ruthless way possible to where we didn't lose health. Everybody died, and it was like insane how we'd go through and do it because we'd both come up with ideas. Burke's 90% of the time better than mine because I'm impatient. I'm like, fuck it, let's just fire at him, see what happens. But
there were very few times where I was like, dude, let's blow them out of the water. I'm always like, so if you put this guy one block over, what?
so it's like that. I know it's the wildly popular fourth Pirates of the Caribbean movie, but do you remember in that movie? Do you remember the scene between Johnny Depp's character Captain Jack and Barbossa when Barbossa's like, so you're gonna look at the trees and figure out all your moves and your methods and like, so it's like that's how you do your great escapes, right? And he's like, yeah,
basically, like, Burke was Barbossa with actually coming up with the plan, and I was like, sure.
And you're just sauntering in,
So like the Nintendo Switch was just a huge thing for me because of the amount of amazing experiences I got with my friends out of it, my friends and my wife. So that really brought it just brought me and my friends together in a way that other games have not been able to.
Yeah,
that's cool.
Breath of the Wild was on my list. No, I don't have anything to say that Craig didn't already, but it was on my list.
Okay, well, we'll just continue on this order. Since I said I was 4, Brian was 1, so we'll go with you, Brian.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think the biggest moment of 2017 for everybody, this is the world, was when Kendall Jenner solved police brutality with a Pepsi. That was a huge.
So I must be living under a rock because I have no idea what you're talking about.
Craig, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh no, I know, but I was sitting there going, I'm like, I can't tell if he's like,
I'm joking.
No,
That's not one on my list.
It's not that I didn't know that you knew that moment was a joke, or not that the moment was a joke, but you are making a joke about it. I didn't know if you were going with like, because sometimes with how you do lists, we're like, oh, we think these things, and you're like, well, I'm going to go with the way that the things are shitty this year, and you're going to that's the list you were coming up with.
Like,
so trying to figure out where
honestly,
you're going.
I get that you were joking. I could tell that you were joking. I just don't know what you're talking about.
This 2017 was the host to a lot of like hilarious mishaps. Obviously, a lot of them with marketing. Arguably the biggest fuck up in all of this year's marketing was by Pepsi. They had Kendall Jenner do a commercial where basically she was a protester and she solved all of police brutality with a Pepsi.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I remember
really
reading
bad.
an article that people were really mad at Pepsi, but didn't really look into why.
It went over with like a lead balloon, but that was just, I'm just screwed around with it. For me, I'm going to start off with what are the biggest things that changed my life in this past year, which is my dog. I got her actually early January. I think it's January 6th was when I got her and brought her home. So I've had her for just about a full calendar year now.
And for those of you who don't remember, he was a puppy hater before that.
That's not true. Go back and listen to it, folks. You'll see the details. You can make it a judge for yourself whether I'm not a puppy hater. # puppy hater, # puppy lover. Send it to our Twitter. But the point is that she has her name's Eve, and she has brought basically joy to myself and my family and a bunch of other people. Like she's just like this perfect little dog that I couldn't have asked for more. Honestly, she's the best thing. Like you get up in the morning and her happy little wagging tail greets you, and it's like this is the best. So yeah, I'm gonna say for sure one of the best parts of my year is my dog. So yeah, for sure.
Well, we'll jump right into mine, and that's actually going to be mine as well.
Nice.
So I actually preemptively put it on my list even before I had the dog. Because basically, I think it was Friday. So I don't know 4 days ago, I got a brand new puppy. And oh my God, I need sleep. That's that's. I feel like I'm raising a kid.
God, I remember those days.
Oh my God, like
hang in there, buddy.
I know. Like in a couple more weeks, it'll be all right. But I forgot. Like I guess my last dog was already almost potty trained and wasn't very. He was crazy and very puppy and had a lot of energy, but this one just blows it out of the water. He's a little border collie American Eskimo mixed with something bigger. So probably around a 40 to 60 pound dog. We don't know, but I absolutely love him. Of course, I think I told everyone his name, but his name's Dovahkiin, from Skyrim, called Dragonborn. And I really want to teach him Fus Roda, and that's going to be his speak command. Yeah, that's.
I want to see video if you pull that off.
Oh, absolutely.
I think it shouldn't be too hard with this guy too. I have never had a dog that has been this smart, and I thought I've trained quite a few dogs, and this guy is like fiercely independent. Like, as I said, I've had him 4 days, and he's already like, and I don't need you. I'm gonna run off. So I have to keep him on a leash. I'm like, oh my god, this is a nightmare to train, but it's gonna be totally worth it on how smart this guy is.
Well, like, and obviously,
so
if you
rewarding.
train that speak command of that roar, 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 kind of thing, if you could actually get that for real, like, you realize that you could have a hit internet video just by you just play that, like the opening that but there's one they fear. Dovahkiin,
I really don't want to.
Dragonborn, and then roar, roar, roar.
I really don't want to kill your dream, Brian, but I feel like the actual thing is going to be Burke saying Fus Roda, and the dog's going to bark in response.
No. It's a triple bark.
I took it.
I took it as he was going to teach it how to do the triple bark.
Maybe bark 3 times, yes, but not going to be like Fus Roda.
Well,
the dog's not going to have inflection. It's going to be
barks,
and that's it.
That's fine. And if it's 3 consecutive barks in a relatively close manner that can even get somewhat close to it, that is a massive win.
Burke,
Are you
if you
kidding?
did that, yeah, that'd be fucking amazing.
That would be pretty crazy.
I will take you literally just saying, Dovahkiin, Fus Roda, and then the dog barking back at you. Like, that will be it, because you're trying to teach the dog inflection in its barks.
No, this dog better be speaking by the end of it.
I would be impressed.
The end of
either way.
2018, Burke's like, yeah, my 5 favorite things are my dog says Fus Roda in perfect English.
Fus Roda!
Just kidding, my dog's a parrot.
My dog has to go outside. How do you know? Fus Roda!
Burke, we didn't want to break it to you, but the plumage on your dog kind of tells you it's a parrot and not a dog.
Shit.
So this is my dog.
Puppy food.
It's just straight up Iago for some reason.
That's awesome. Well, yeah. So that was my I guess my first one since
Yay,
Brian mentioned puppy. I'm so excited, and like my other dogs are playing with him. That's one of the reasons I bought him, because one of my dogs is very rambunctious as well. I mean, he's well behaved, but he needs someone to play with, and the old dog is like, fuck you, and just growls. So he's now got a buddy to play with, and it's awesome.
That is great.
Yeah.
Nice.
So Michelle, what about you?
So the first one that I wrote on my list was getting engaged. That was pretty much the biggest moment of the year for me.
What?
I
thought that wouldn't even have made the list.
Damn it, you stole my joke, Brian.
Wow, you guys are so original.
Yep. Totally not a hive mind of 29
hive mind of low-hanging fruit jokes. We're just like
30 and 31-year-old white males totally don't have the same jokes altogether when we grew up in the same conditions.
Never.
What do you mean? We're just are you suggesting our jokes are bad?
Yes, I am.
I didn't say that.
I did.
Oh, okay. So Michelle, was it really a big deal?
No,
what do you mean,
not at all.
like the actual proposal?
Well, no, I mean like obviously it was a big deal, like the fact that you're engaged now and everything else. I mean, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, are you genuinely obviously excited about it? I mean, I'm assuming you are, but
No, I am. So I was, for the first couple of months, I was really into getting like the wedding plans like started, and then I kind of got to a halt where I was like, okay, it reached the point where there's nothing else I really need to do right now because it's too early to do like X, Y, and Z. And then I just got busy with work with the holidays too, so I truthfully haven't thought about it in like a couple months. But I have everything's like written down in a book, and I have like everything ready to go. I mean, truthfully, a lot of it's alleviated off my plate because my parents are paying for the place, food, and liquor. So
all the most
I
all
just
important
gotta
things.
handle the little stuff. Yeah. and the DJ. So I literally have to just handle everything else. So it's not that much anymore. But no, it was a big deal for me.
That is good.
I'm confused. Not confused. Excuse me. I'm ignorant to this. You've got some things planned out way beforehand, it sounds like, and other things that you can't actually plan till later. I'm assuming stuff like venue and things like that are things that you can already choose. Or like what are the things that you've been able to do so far? And you don't have to get specific, but like what are the things you've been able to do so far and the things you haven't?
So settling on the venue is the part. I found the dress I want, but I haven't bothered to order it yet. I found decorations I wanted, but I haven't bothered to order them. I have not looked at the cake thing yet. And part of it's because a friend of mine's doing the cake. So I do have to tell her in advance, but like she's a friend. It's not like I have to go hunt somebody down for it. So it's too early to send out invitations, like that kind of thing. Like, it's like, okay, I know I need to do it, but
sure,
not a year ahead of time.
Yeah, I had absolutely not input. I literally didn't do a single thing for my wedding. I showed up in khakis and a shirt that I already owned. So like nothing special happened. So I was like, I don't know what the situation's like.
So yes. So John has, I don't know if I mentioned this before, like he's never even really attended a wedding. And his cousin is getting married like a month after us. So like our wedding is still literally going to be his first one.
Mm-hmm. Look. If he comes to Michigan to visit, like with you, like him and I will go to a wedding and just crash it because he needs to see this. Like,
yeah. So he was like, it was funny because he was like, so like, what are me and my groomsmen supposed to do? Like he knew he had to pick that, and he was like, other than that, he's like, what are we supposed to do? So I was like trying to tell him, and he was like, I think we're gonna need a babysitter. And I was like, oh my god.
Wait,
so now
for
I'm like
the
thinking
groomsmen,
like,
or do they have kids?
No, for the groomsmen.
Okay,
because they don't know what to do.
Oh,
so
no.
it's like, I think we're gonna need somebody who's like experienced or actually knows what they're supposed to be doing to like tell them what to do. I don't know. And I was just like, oh my lord. I was like, I don't have time for this.
Here's
right
the deal. No. Hold on. Is there drinking involved?
For who?
For him, John.
No, he doesn't drink.
Then I'm out. I was gonna offer just like literally just be like the guy who shows up and goes, here's what you do, kid. Pop the beer.
Well, no, usually for in every wedding I've been in, and I've been in too many of them. Brian's probably roughly in the same boat I am because him and I have been in a lot of the same weddings together. Every single time it's, hey, all the guys are getting dressed in this big open room together over here, and we'll come get you when we need you to do something. That's how it's always been. There was somebody else that was basically the showrunner that would go around and be like, okay, we need all the girls to go here now, and we need this, and it's like somebody's mom, or it was like a friend, like one of the bridesmaid may have been doing it. I've seen it a bunch of different people, or they may have actually had like the wedding planner be the person like doing it, but like there's always one person that's kind of going around and being like the director while everybody else is getting ready.
Right, but that's during the wedding. I think that she's referring to also like pre-wedding stuff too.
That's what I'm saying.
Just have fun, hang out.
That's what I'm saying. Literally,
I'm talking about like days before the wedding, dude. I'm talking about like bachelor party type stuff. Like I think that's what she's talking about too. Like in addition
to bachelor party, like you can Google what should I do in a bachelor party, and you can be like, oh, I'm not doing that because Craig and his buddies for his wedding, they fucking played D&D the day before.
That's true. Custom campaign.
We played Halo.
Yeah, we played Halo at Burke's. We played Halo at
I thought that's what she was asking about.
I was thinking she meant like the actual wedding day.
I'm not asking.
I thought, okay, were you talking about?
Asking.
Is he asking about the actual day? Like, what do we do that whole day?
In general.
Oh, in general.
Because like he saw some of the stuff that like my bridesmaids were prepping, and he was like, "Do my groomsmen got to do that?" Like,
well, wait, what were they prepping? What were
so they're trying to get like the matching dresses and like
they need to have matching ideally ties,
and
something.
like the shower and stuff like that. So
no, dudes just get together and get drunk / eat pizza / play D&D / go to strip clubs,
him and his
whatever.
Brothers and his nerds friends, like they're gonna play games, which is fine.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, that part's fine.
As long as they go to, I'm using this as we're not sponsored or anything. I'm just using this as an example. As long as you pick out the right tie color and you go to a Men's Warehouse and everybody fucking just rents something, hey, you're good to go.
Yeah, I don't even think we're gonna do suits. I want to keep it a little more.
That's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
A little more
I fucking
casual.
hate suits.
So
Okay. I'll jump into my next one here. So one of my other favorite things of this year, and it's kind of something I did sort of recently, so there might be a recency bias to it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to talk with any of you guys on this one because it's an actual like storyline that I absolutely loved, which was the show Westworld on HBO. I'm assuming nobody's watched it.
I've never seen that one. I've never seen that at all.
Yes.
Negative.
So there's not much I can really go into because it's just one of those great shows, and anybody that's watched it that's listening right now, please back me up because I want to talk to somebody about this show. It's like one of those shows that I would sit there and tell all three of you, like, you need to download it, and it's an hour long HBO show. So, and there's 10 episodes, so it's a 10-hour thing, and it is just one of the most like crazy rides. Because the whole premise is basically that, and you find this out in the first episode, so I'm just trying to set the scene. Basically, It's a little futuristic of a show. I don't know if they ever really give a year or time frame, but basically a guy, they created a theme park that's like the Wild West, where you go out there and everybody there, besides the people that go visit the park, everything there that's human, quote human, is actually a robot with really advanced AI, and they're all playing out a storyline. So like you can basically choose to jump into this and go like, do this storyline. And it's an HBO show, so there's obviously it turns into like there's drugs and sex and other stuff going on, but there's other people that are going out and they're the ones that are wanting to go they want to go hunting real humans because they want to do like a dark storyline type thing. Like you can do whatever you want in this park as long as it's not hurting another actual like park person,
living human, right?
But there's like this massive intrigue thing about the entire show. Oh, it's fucking great. Like there's an entire storyline about the creator, and then there's an entire storyline about the people that are working behind the scenes. And I can't say
very intriguing. It's very intriguing concept. Like I didn't know. I knew it was a big deal, but I didn't know anything about it. Oh my gosh,
it's so good. Jimmy Simpson, the guy that plays Mary in Psych, the guy that like he chases after
Oh yeah.
He's in it. And he does so fucking great that I'm like, if he had to choose, I would completely take him out of Psych and be like, no, you go live there now. Like he's fucking amazing. He's so good. And so just the show was just, it like took me by surprise on how much I liked it. Cause somebody was like, oh yeah, I think you'd like it. And it was somebody that told me that kind of doesn't like anything, or they don't like everything, but they're always the one that's like, oh, it's such an awesome show. And it usually ends up being, it's like, oh, explosions. And it was awesome. And I'm like, there's no storyline really behind it, but this was, they're like, oh, I think you'd really like it. And I got into it. I was like, holy shit, this is a mind fuck of a show where they kind of like just throw a lot of shit at you. So I know I'm just preaching to myself, but all three of you, if you get a chance to sit down and watch it, I think it's a really great show. I mean, you definitely have to be able to stomach like some humans are at their worst with these robots, and so you kind of feel like they're doing things to real people. So you have to, as long as you can stomach that, this show is fucking amazing. I think it's better than Game of Thrones personally, but I know none of you. I don't think any of you watch Game of Thrones, but you know how much loud.
I mean, I don't watch either of them, but I know the clout behind Game of Thrones.
I liked Westworld so much more than Game of Thrones.
Well, yeah, because I've been thinking about starting up Game of Thrones again. I don't know, we're derailed totally when I'm talking about this, but I'm like, yeah, like, but I still can't. I just can't ever get back to it. And people, I'm in IT. And they go, dude, did you see Game of Thrones? I don't watch it. Everyone's face is like, You're kidding me, right? Like, no one believes that I don't like Game of Thrones. All right, sorry.
No, it's all right. Oh, well, let's see. Should I do the one that's related to Craig's or related to Michelle's? Related to Craig's first one.
Engaged, Brian?
No, God, no. No, I mean Craig's first one, or Craig's second one. I'll do the first one. So, to the video game thing, real quick. So a lot of mine are kind of like, some of them are specific, but some of them are more high concept. So I just said video games as a whole for 2017. And what I mean by that is this. 2017, not just for me, but for the industry, was a banner fucking year for video games. Video games this year were off the chart. There are so many games in contention for Game of the Year this year that it's anybody's race. You know what I mean? Like, you had, of course, you said Mario Odyssey and Zelda and all that stuff, but then at the same time you had like Horizon, and like you had all these other big, like huge, not just AAA, but then you had indie titles coming out of the woodwork left and right. It felt like every other week people were talking about, oh, by the way, this came out and it's like game of the year material. Like this was the most absurdly good year for like new releases that I've seen in a long time. So for me, I just said video games as kind of a whole, but on top of that, I also got a bunch of like, I don't know how else to put it, but like I got a bunch of games that I liked, a bunch of games that I thought were you were due. Like Ukulele came out this year finally, and that was something that I'd been waiting for, and I had done the Kickstarter on, and I'm like, finally, it's out, you know, just stuff like that. I don't know how else to put it other than that. It's basically, it felt like this was the year that if you wanted a certain type of game, hey, you wanted a shooter, here's a shooter. You want an adventure game, here's an adventure game. Open world, you know, platformer, bam. You know what I mean? It just, the pick of the litter was 2017 for video games. So I thought it was great.
And I think you can almost add on to that we might be, the gamer culture might be being heard a little bit more. Not that they're going to completely change, but going off what we talked on last week, or
technically that was last year.
Nice dad joke.
Last week with the microtransactions, where like people are, we at least know that if there's enough of a ruckus, like people will at least hear us. Not saying that they're gonna do anything, because EA, like we said, just cut down they're like, oh yeah, you don't need as many credits, but we're not giving you as many credits either. And I have no idea if they've kept with that. By now they may have changed it completely, but
yeah, it's probably on under by now.
I think it's nice that we know that we're being heard. When we have a major complaint, and when we band together and make memes for days on how shitty a company is, like it's eventually going to come back to them, because everybody's just going off on that. So I think that's cool for, like you said, like the games as a whole, the game industry as a whole, or whatever you want to say. So I'm right with you, like especially with the amount of like indie games, like you said, like the ukuleles, and maybe they're not exactly indie, but like everybody gets everything. You want a storyline game, you're getting a storyline game. Here's these three games that were amazing
Here's
indies.
Shadow of Mordor, here's Horizon, here's whatever.
Here's
and you're
the
like,
new Call of
okay,
Duty, here's Destiny 2, but also here's this is bad because I don't know like the indie games on it, but like there was a bunch of them released that I know became like cult classics where people were playing them. I don't know if was Undertale out this year, or was that last year?
That was a couple years ago.
Okay, well, like games along those lines where it's like those indie games where people are coming through and tell these stories. So it's
like
just
Hat in Time came out, and everyone like lost their shit. You know what I mean? Like they just like random, like that and Ukulele. You know, were a couple like like specific ones. Cuphead was another indie game that finally got released this year. There were a lot of those, but like it almost becomes like. I think that one of the funniest things I saw, they go, the worst thing about gaming in 2017 is that there are too many good games. Yeah, it's like you literally have video game attention is dropping, but that's not because the games are, but there's too, in quality. It's just that there's too many good games. Everyone's like, I got to get to the next thing. Holy crap.
And just going off that real quick, Cuphead was one of the ones I left off from one of my favorite things of 2017. It was right on that cusp, and I just had it in my games section of like games I really loved for 2017. Cuphead was in there. So I'm glad someone brought that up and said that, because that's where I was on that.
Very nice.
So I actually didn't put a single video game really on my list. I know.
Wait, what?
I might have to add one in the end, but whatever. It doesn't really matter. So I think my first one.
Bad jokes.
Sorry. I didn't see that coming, and it hit, and it was note perfect. Delivery was amazing. I have to give a clap right now for that. Thank you.
And Michelle taking herself out of the podcast. She's like, I'm not amused or find any of you funny.
All right, continue. I'm sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Anyways, but I'm not going to speak too long on this one, because this is kind of self-explanatory, and it was kind of right on the brink of 2016, and that was just moving here. Yeah, it was, besides from missing my family, but it was like the best decision I've ever made. Well, and Emily, but like in recent history, whatever, but like it's been great. Like I absolutely love it.
Best part about moving there. Go.
Oh shit! Fucking mountains.
I knew you were gonna say that too,
mountains.
Because I think that would be the best.
My other two are also mountain related. So they kind of rolled together on my next couple.
Would it be going too far if we talked about the weather patterns that you probably like in that state too, or is that attached to the other stuff?
Cold it is. like, and how it's not 100 degrees and 100% humidity, and I don't walk outside and instantly swim. Yeah, I don't have to wear shorts on Christmas. Like, you know, like today was probably the warmest it's been, and it got up to 60, and I was walking around in shorts and a t-shirt, going, "Oh,
I'm still wearing shorts on Christmas. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh, I mean, like tonight it's supposed to snow, and I'm like, and I know Michelle's probably over there like dreading, life if she was here, but like I'm like, dude, I'm so excited. Like, snow, yes, this will like be my second ever white Christmas if it snows like it's supposed to.
And I'm over here like
I like snow on Christmas. My ideal world, it would snow very late on Christmas Eve, be there all Christmas Day, and just melt the next morning, and then be done for the year.
you and Michelle just should have switched, in that regard. But no, all I was going to say though, Burke, is that I feel like I'm. Do you remember the beginning of Fellowship of the Ring when Bilbo's talking to Gandalf about like when he's getting ready to leave the Shire? He's like, I want to see mountains again, Gandalf. Like, that's me. I love looking at mountains. They're the most aesthetically pleasing scenery on Earth to me. Like, I don't know what it is, but they're majestic.
Yeah. So, we moved here and we've been in a rental, and like we're actually building a house right now, and I should be moving in, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now.
Woo!
Well, and that's what I was going to bring up, was just that you like the place enough that you're like, fuck it, like let's build a house, let's make a life here. It's not just, hey, we're going to work here, we're going to kind of just be here, and if something changes, changes. If not, it's like you were there for about 6-8 months, and you're like, fuck it, let's build we're tearing down those trees, we're making a goddamn house right here.
Yeah, like and one of the things that I wanted when moving here, because I lived in a city, that's what Houston was. It was flat, trees, concrete, lights, and less trees every fucking day, because they just clear cut shit, and it kills me. I mean, granted, I'm here in the high plains, you have to plant trees to get them to grow, but like you hit the mountains, boom, you're in trees, and like that would but right now where my house is, I'm in the middle of a city. I have to go upstairs, like out my master bathroom window to look at the mountains. I mean, granted, it's a beautiful view when you get up there, but that's all I can see. The rest is, there's a daycare, there's just housing. My house that I'm building, there's basically a road a mile away that I can't even see because it's behind some foothills in the mountains, and then it's green space between me and the mountains. And I'm like, yeah, that's my backyard. I tried this, urban kind of hipster lifestyle, and granted, I love walking to places, but I'm not going to miss like just being in the city, because I want my space. I want a fucking yard.
Yeah.
Like, and I have I'm going to build a gate that opens up to this massive field. And I'm like, yeah, because it's green space from the county. So I'm
holding you to the fact that you said I can come visit when you're done.
Anytime, dude.
I'm not joking. I will be there.
Yeah. All right. Yep. Well, I think that I talked longer than I thought. Sorry, guys.
You're
Anyways,
fine.
Go ahead, Michelle.
It's not okay.
The rest of mine are not nearly as big events as what we've been discussing so far. So I guess I'll start the smaller event train here. So my next one, although it's my next biggest one, like I said, like a couple of them were ranked and the rest were just kind of lumped together. So mine was us playing our D&D campaign. And I double checked, and it was this year. So that we started it.
Yeah, it was this summer.
Yeah. So that's been one of the fun things for me. I don't want to say consistent because we don't play it consistently, but it pretty much is, like having something to look forward to, playing games with friends. It's something that I've missed. My schedule clashes a lot with my friends, so I don't get to play games with people very often anymore.
Sure.
Hardly at all. So being able to do that is exciting, and like actually being in a campaign that's going somewhere and actually making progress. I don't think I've ever played a campaign where I've gotten past 1 to 2 towns and 1 to 2 dungeons. Like usually they end up falling apart within kind of that time frame. So
well, we're doing our first dungeon, so we're been to, I guess, 3 cities, so we're ahead of one, behind on another. Technically, but Brian talks too much.
Yeah, maybe 4 places. I mean, Lucia's church is one, sort of. Like that's kind of its own little like city. Because you've got Valethorn where you started, or Ryer. Then you went to Lucia's hometown, and then you which is basically the church in the area. But
Right.
and then you went to Davie afterwards. So in terms of new cities,
Oh, and,
And
we're
then-
not counting Intra and Suppleville. Oh, okay, I see
Oh,
how it is.
fuck,
Pumpkin
yeah.
Lodge.
Yeah,
fuck
we
you,
had our
fuck
whole
you guys.
campaign.
Here's a guy.
So yeah, this was on my list, definitely.
it was also on my list. It was one of my favorite things of this year.
Oh, really?
It's just been so much fun to kind of sit down and play, and it's been my only outlet for being creative outside of talking on this podcast, which, I mean, even though it's still this podcast, but it's something that I can think about for a lot longer than what, when we go through and we make a quiz, it'll go through, for me at least, my process on making a quiz for this podcast is usually, the week of, I go through on like Saturday, Sunday, and I get an idea in my head, like try and come up
What
with
you want to do, how
Right.
you want to do
yeah,
it.
I'd try and come up with a different way of doing a quiz so it's not just straight questions if possible. And then I go through it on Monday and Tuesday. I really try and hammer out like a bunch of different questions. And this has really opened back up the creative side where I can go through and start trying to come up with new things and different things and come up with really cool set pieces that you guys can go through and experience, and it's been an eye-opening thing to just learn about like what you guys even want out of a game. It makes me think, okay, like I need to go through and change what I'm doing here. And it's just another exercise in how do I make this game everything for everybody as much as possible. And so it's just been like a really great thing. And this is just my selfish side of it. It's been a great thing for me to be able to do some creativity, start doing this macro world building to come up with these ideas for you guys so that or come up with the macro idea so I can then come up with small things that pop up in the middle of a campaign that you guys are doing that affect the greater world. And it's just been this crazy like thing where I'm having to think about it constantly.
So does that mean I'm going to get the jetpack I wanted?
Yes. There's going to be a D&D jetpack.
You're not being selfish. Besides just having fun with friends, it has also been more creative for me. Because I've been trying to take the campaign and write it into an actual like book that like, even if you've never played D&D, like you could follow what's going on in
That's
it.
cool.
So that's been that. And like on Mondays at my work, I spend 3 hours, the first 3 hours of my shift, locked in an office by myself, just doing paperwork, and it's completely mindless. And literally, and I have just Zelda music like playing in the background, and I literally like I space out, I do what I need to do, and I'm constantly thinking about our campaign, like, okay, what if this situation happens? How would I react? Or, what do I want Lucia to do, and how do I want to change her? I went through and I wrote like a whole thing that I had sent to Craig that was pretty much every year of her life. I put like a big event so that he was like, okay, this is how she's grown, in her 21 years. So like it's fueled my creativity as well, Craig.
Monday mornings are me and Michelle time. Me and Michelle go back and forth on Mondays a lot. She's like, I'm locked in here. I'm like, so am I. Let's do this. What are we gonna nail on Lucia
I'll be like,
and
hey,
her
I
and
had
her
this
backstory?
idea, and he's like, oh my god.
Yeah. So I'm going to cut you off, Brian, because based on your input, I think this wasn't one of yours, but this one was one of mine. And obviously, this is my first campaign. Well, like it's first long campaign. Like we did a couple, I guess the blue box or red box or whatever the fuck it was called. Little already made campaigns to help you learn. And then I did a couple with Brian and Mike and some other guys. It was fun, but this one, like, yes, like I'm not that creative of a person. Like I can be when I get, but like making something up on the spot, doing this whole role playing outside of like, when I did try to act at one point, like it's completely foreign to me. And like, I remember when rolling my character and I was like, I have a 5. What am I going to put that in? And and I was like, well, he's young. Let's put it in intelligence. And I didn't think about naive, playing off of different intelligences. I was like, I talked to Craig for hours going, I don't know how to play a stupid character. Like it's, and I'm still learning and it's such a challenge thinking outside of the box and yet not, I guess not being overly, I don't know, stupid. And then I don't know. It's mind boggling to me how I even think about it.
I thought one of the most brilliant moments that you really you took in your character was actually in the pumpkin lie when my character Osiris.
Oh, now you
when
remember
my character
it.
Osiris was down and you were the one that had the only thing that can, and I won't do too much just in case somebody hasn't listened and they want to go through and listen to it. But Burke's character had the item that would save me, but it wasn't his decision to make, and like his intelligence would mark down to like, I don't know what to do, and like you had your character yell like, I don't know what to do, tell me what to do, and you put your hands out to Lucia to like for help, and like I was like, that's fucking brilliant, because I feel like that would be his character. He's young, he doesn't he just got some information that it kind of crisscrosses his head, and I thought that was beautiful. I don't know if maybe I'd be the only one, but I was like, fuck, that's good. Why can't I ever be that good?
I completely agree. That whole section of that campaign, like, even though it was like a side campaign, like that whole section was really important to me in terms of character development, even though it quote unquote didn't actually happen.
Yeah, it really like we went into the town and like obviously I wasn't getting drunk, like, and I was like, oh my god, I can play this naive, like high five, what is that? And something clicked and I was like, oh my god, that's how he can be stupid. Like, because like just playing someone stupid is hard.
And it is. And I have an intelligent character, but she is also naive. So it's like, okay, like she's smart, but it's like, okay, now how do I make her smart and naive? And, and you're struggling with how do I make him stupid-ish, but
he's still he's still really wise.
Right.
It's what do I fucking do?
Well, and that, and it has been absolutely fun to do that. And plus, I mean, I mean, personally, my character, I love playing my character just because of the fact that he gets to be an asshole. And it's one of those things where, like, it's in real life, I'm not going to be the asshole for the most part, but in that game, I love being an asshole. I absolutely love it. Like I love the fact that I can literally, like, at times just decide, like, I'm taking the whole board with me. Yeah. Like just for no reason. Like, I want to go get drunk. Why? Because I can. Yeah. Fuck you. That's why. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I mean, but and then how it's it's affected my creative. Like, I remember we were playing just Halo 5, and like I channeled this just like inner goofball, and I was like, oh, this is. I started role playing in that game just to have fun, and then like when we started playing Dark Souls 2. Was that yesterday? Jesus, that was yesterday. Like, we chose to role play our characters, like, completely in a game that you don't have to. You don't have to do it. There's this whole story, but we're like, yeah, let's play it co-op and make our own characters. And like, we have a trickster rogue. We have me as a healer. but we're goofing around with each other, but we're still like acting out like, I'm going to tell you a story of treason and I heal everyone. Like, I mean, it's fucking great.
And we're putting all the, and we're not trying to like game mechanic it. We're trying, trying to put min max it. It's like literally we're just like, this is not the smartest build, but it works for the character canonically. We're like, this is fun. And it's in Dark Souls, which is a stupid game to do it in, but it's fun.
But yeah, so
yes, I would say that's
good.
But
I guess to sum up my thoughts, it's like, it has made me so more creative and thinking outside of the box, and it's leaked into other parts of my life, and I absolutely love it. So yeah.
So I'm gonna get a little. What number are we on at this point? Sheesh. I did Switch. I did D&D. We did.
It's at least 3 or 4.
I think Brian needs a 3.
So we've got 2 left, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna go with I'll go with my second. I won't go serious because that one was gonna be my, just in case you guys took all my other ones. I was gonna go to the serious one.
Okay.
One of my favorite things, and this is something that we had talked about a little bit earlier, because I was like, there's something that I didn't know existed till now. And so I wanted to make sure we are all right with it, but it's the Authors and Dragons podcast. Burke, I know you listen to it, or you have, and you've gone through parts of it and whatnot.
I'm halfway through it. I'm almost caught up.
It's not just the podcast itself. It's an actual play D&D podcast, but it's a bunch of comedy writers that all got together to start doing this podcast, or this D&D game, right? So it's a bunch of guys that write comedy fiction. All of them have some form of comedy fiction that they do, whether it be a fantasy setting or like urban setting, stuff like that, but it's all comedy fiction. And these guys all just get together and play this fucking game, and it's the most hilarious fucking thing I've ever fucking listened to in my life at times. And again, it's one of those things that helps me think about, like, oh shit, it's because it's an actual play podcast of D&D, helps me think about stuff differently for our game, where I go, I can do things this way. I could do this with a shopkeeper, like even small little things like that. But it's also the amount of exposure I got to these new authors, and I've gone through and bought like, I would say 15 books of theirs since then.
And I've bought in what, eight of one series, and
yeah,
like
there's one
another
series
four.
that's 8 books. Like Burke and I have gone through and bought a ton of their stuff because I was like, these guys are fucking funny. These guys are good.
Yeah.
If this is what they come up with on the spot, what do they come up with when they have time to like actually build a joke into
And
stuff?
actually, yeah.
Like, it's great. And it's funny to me because Robert Bevan's literally, it's the same fucking jokes anyway. So you can tell that's just him as a guy. But like all the other guys, my favorite by far, like he's way above Robert Bevan in my head. And I feel bad saying that because I still love Bevan's stuff. But Steve Wetherill
Oh my
is
God,
fucking
yes.
hilarious. And it's like, how does someone get to be that funny where like everything they do is a pitch perfect tone for comedic timing?
Yes.
You're like, how the fuck
Well,
does that work?
I know.
How do you,
Easy. You put all your points into
basically,
charisma.
that's what he does.
Oh, yeah.
He's rocking
And
a
so is
fucking
his
20
character.
charisma. I guarantee it. It's insane. It's so insane. And like, even from that, they've gone through from the podcast. One of the characters that they play is Steve's character. His name's Brandon Thighmaster, and he's a monk. I think he's a human monk.
Yeah, he's a human monk.
And he's completely narcissistic, which is the funny part because, you know, monks are usually like selfless and whatnot, but he's all about obtaining, like being one with the universe by becoming the most ripped person in the world. Not like just mass, but like ripped and just completely, you know, and like at one point the character
but he's
loses.
still celibate.
Yeah, he's still celibate though, so he doesn't let people touch him. It's just like this insane amount of contradiction within this character. Enough so that he wrote a book purely with this character. And it was one of my favorite books of 2017. Going through this thing, I read it
Wow.
during Thanksgiving break, and I was like, this is fucking brilliant. Like every piece of this, and he's releasing an audiobook. I'm buying the audiobook as well. So I can go through and listen to it because he's voicing the actual character, somebody else's
You're
narration. And it's
kidding
just-
me.
It's so fucking beautiful. And so I was just really glad I found this. It was just more ideas for D&D that I can try and kind of like pick from and whatnot. And just finding these other authors that give me so much more material to read from.
Wow. Yeah, no, that's pretty good. I know you've been telling me to check it out for a while. I need to just buckle down and actually do it
Yeah,
because
me too.
I've just been, but, wow. You know, speaking of being creative and what have you, the next thing that I have, next one I have is actually talking a little bit, once again, more of a general high concept thing. And that is the movies. Specifically the movies of 2017, where we had once again a stupid high amount of movies that were good to see, or that were at least decent films. Like, so you had this year, you know, Thor, Spider-Man, Star Wars, movies on Netflix, originals, you know, that kind of thing. Like, basically, once again, we're living in the Wonderland paradise of media, where you're just like, hey, I really feel like watching that, you know, that thing from my childhood that made me happy. Oh, sure, it's in big screens. And you're like, what? You know, then you go to Netflix and they're like, oh, remember that show that got canceled a long time ago? That's coming back. Oh, I'm sorry, Psych got canceled, you know, or has been off the air for like, you know, however 3-4 years, whatever it is. Like, oh, here's a Psych movie for you. I'm like, what kind of world am I living in? Where I'm just like, I feel so lucky that we get all this stuff. You know what I mean? Because usually, like, you had to be like, remember like this, and it's been gone for 100. No, it's back in theaters. It's back. It's new. I don't know. I feel like we're living in a golden age as far as like the media, as far as media is concerned. And I'm gonna take it one last little step further, which is, even if you want to watch something bad, and I know that sounds weird, you can watch something bad. Like, Netflix isn't producing just good movies. They're producing movies that are like, this is clearly going to be a bad movie. We're going to greenlight it. So if you feel like watching a shitty movie tonight, you can watch a shitty movie on us. And I'm like, damn it, Netflix, you get me.
Yep.
Because every once in a while, I really like watching bad movies.
Oh yeah.
I'm actually going to jump off with my last one here, just real quick. I'll just kind of do as a quick tag. My number one, or what I literally, everything else was like out of order. I actually had one that was my number one, and it was the movie Logan. Like, I know other people found a lot of
Yeah,
other
that came out
movies.
this year too.
Yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of other people found a lot of other.
I haven't gotten
Yeah.
to watch it yet, so just
Okay, so I won't go too far into it, but it was it sounds stupid because I only saw it once, but it felt like it fucking changed my life watching that movie. I watched it and I cried 4 times in that movie. And I know I already tear up at things because I'm just becoming a like an emotional old man here, but there was 4 different moments that I fucking cried in that movie. 3 of them had to do with Wolverine putting his claws through people's skulls. But I cried 4 times in that movie. And so that was such an emotional, like, I was like, oh my God, this is so amazing. So that's all as far as I'll go into it. So I don't do anything for Michelle.
Wow.
I can just jump off real quick. Sorry, I know it's out of order. Because I also had a movie on mine. There were a lot of great movies this year. Brian's absolutely right. But I actually wanted to just quickly go in, and I specifically put Wonder Woman on my list. Wonder Woman is not even one of my favorite heroes. There's nothing wrong with her, don't get me wrong. It's just that she's a little too like Superman for me, where like nothing affects her.
She's
so it's kind of like, yeah. And that's the same reason that like, Superman's not one of my favorites. It's just too much of a good thing, I think. But the important thing for me for Wonder Woman was the fact that it is a female superhero getting her own movie, a female superhero movie made by women. And like, that's just, as a girl, that is a big deal. Because, a lot of them are obviously like male centered. So it was just nice to see like, and it blew it out of the water too. Like it didn't even suck, which
no, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I think
easily best superhero movie of the year.
Easily best.
I think it's also too. Hopefully, other people see that because normally when you get those superhero movies, the love interest of the main character, it's usually a guy is the main character in the superhero movies, and the love interest is very 2-dimensional, and like it shows if you actually have a 3-dimensional love interest in a movie, like how much more that movie can be like explored and how great that movie can be, where the whole idea is this is Wonder Woman. She's a superhero and whatnot. But like, Steve Trevor or Chris Pine, he gets a full fleshed out like story. Like you see his whole thing.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm like, fuck, I hope they bring that into other movies. Like if they start doing it the other way around, they're obviously going to do it the other way around again. But like when a guy's doing this and he's going through it, like flesh out the female character more, his love interest, because that makes the movie just so much better. Like if there's this whole, if they're both 3-dimensional characters, it's just, there's a lot of things I loved about it.
It's kind of like the opposite of the James Bond effect, where the girls are interchangeable per movie. They're just there for like the arm candy kind of thing, versus like now it's like, the Wonder Woman did the flip on that.
You understand. You actually understand why she loved him, and not just because he's just happened to be an attractive male that was around.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I gotcha. Although I will say that Thor Ragnarok was a pretty damn good superhero movie for the year, though.
It was. Thor was amazing, but
Thor was kind of amazing.
If I had to give one, I would say Wonder Woman was probably the best superhero movie of the year.
Between Thor, Spider-Man, and Wonder Woman, those were some of the top Spider-Mans for the year. Those are the top comic book movies for the year for me, for sure. But I think the order's all messed up here, so I'll just do one more. I'm just going to throw it out there real quick, which is something that I enjoyed this year. This is more specific. Something that I personally really got enjoyment out of is Saturday Night Live. I haven't got enjoyment out of Saturday Night Live in a long time, but in the past like year and a half, maybe 2 years, like I watch their YouTube channel. I watch every, like they put out all their skits the next day. I watch every skit in order. Like I don't know what it is. I think it would be the cast. They have a new, younger, funnier, like more dynamic cast. Or if it's the topics, maybe it's the whole political climate or whatever it is. But like somebody's doing something right over at Saturday Night Live, and they are just killing it. And I laugh my ass off. So it's just, for some reason, it has been one of those ones where like I can't get enough, and I look forward to it every week. And I just enjoy the hell out of it. So
SNL is just one of those things I haven't watched in so long. Like I catch some of the random little skits here and there on YouTube and whatnot, but for the most part, I've seen like
all the Celebrity Jeopardy. Other than that, I've never watched a minute of SNL.
That's a shame. Like this is dead serious. Here's a little insight, for you guys. Like one of the biggest, most reoccurring dreams I ever had when I was growing up was being on Saturday Night Live as a cast member. Like that was like literally like, you know, some kids dream like, I wish I was in movies or whatever. Like, no, I wished I was on Saturday Night Live. That was the dream. Like it was the thing that I was like, man, one day the coolest thing in the world would be to be on Saturday Night Live. Like, you know, more than anything else, not even being the guest on Saturday Night Live, just being on in the cast, like even for like a season, you know? And for whatever reason, I just always loved it. But, then like I kind of fell away from Saturday Night Live for a number of years. Like I would still catch the occasional skit, but they just weren't that funny. Like they just hit like a bad streak for a while. But recently, as in the past couple of years, especially this last year, holy crap, their cast, it's incredible. It's mainly, I would say, mainly female dominated in a good way. You know, like all the actresses are hilarious. The males that are in it are funny. And they kept Keenan, which is good. He's been on there for like 15 seasons, ridiculous. But the point is, like, he's the one like senior member of the cast basically, and he's the one guy I wish they could keeping because he's just so good, and they kept him this year. I'm like, yay! It's been fantastic. I don't know. I really can recommend it highly to anybody who's interested in checking it out again.
Yep. So, I actually have, I think 3 left. So I'll just spitfire 2 of them. One of them was probably, I don't know, interesting, but not going to church has been absolutely wonderful. So like that kind of goes along with moving to Denver. I guess the second one I wanted to mention was I got my Ford Focus RS, which I finally got a little sports car that I wanted.
There you go.
And of course, then I wrecked it Friday, so or Saturday. But fuck me, whatever.
Good times.
You know, whatever. So, but the key thing was mountains, and like just spending time in the mountains was awesome. Like just getting up to escape, whether it was snowboarding, or I think my favorite part in the mountains was I hope I don't get too emotional here. Anyways, was climbing with my dad. It was awesome.
Mm.
Yeah,
Climbing,
just like
yeah,
so like we climbed mountains before, but it was like I climbed some earlier that summer already. And I was like, my dad was like, yeah, let's go. And I was like, and it took me like, I had to drag him out because he's like, I'm going to get altitude sick again, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to throw up like he does every time we climb a mountain. But I was like, he's like, but he always enjoys it. And we did it. And you know, it wasn't a big mountain. It was like 13,100 feet. So it wasn't like a tall mountain, or I say that's still pretty tall, but like when you have 14,000 foot mountains around, it's not the tallest one anywhere around. But then like, so it was just, that was just so emotional and awesome to see. You know, thinking me as 30, him as 60, going on climbing up a mountain was awesome. And then what was I guess what even topped that off was a buddy from Houston just came, I guess the very next weekend, and we went and climbed that mountain and dropped about 500 feet and climbed another 1,000 feet up and hit a 13,700 foot mountain. And we did that, and like it was his first mountain he had ever climbed, and he was just like. And he was like, this was one of the most amazing things I've ever experienced. And just like the bonding time you can have out in the wilderness is just unparalleled, I guess, in my opinion, because there's no distractions. You're in the middle of nature, and it's fucking beautiful.
Man, you're going up 13,000 feet worth of mountain, and I'm like, I go up half my stairs and I have to take a break.
Well, I mean, you don't start that high. You know, we're here at 5,000 feet, but usually start around. We didn't do 7,000, but like sometimes you start at 7 to 8 to 9,000 feet, depending. Well,
I do want to say that let's just say 9,000 to 12,000 is still more than half my stairs. I don't know if you know the math on that, but
just quite a big difference. Yeah.
You could start at 12.9 and still be more than Craig's staircase.
True.
But yeah, 12,980 would still be more than that.
Yeah. Anyways, that was I guess my highlight right there was just being able to not drive 12 hours to hike a mountain and just be able to drive an hour and a half to get to some of the tallest peaks in the country.
Yeah, that's amazing.
So,
Michelle and Craig, did you guys have any ones that you wanted to hit on?
Yeah. So the last one on my list, was a couple of books that I read this year. One was actually released last October, but I didn't read it till this year, and then the other was released this year. But they're both by Rick Riordan, and I don't know if you guys have ever read any of his books. He's the author who wrote the Percy Jackson series. all of his books are based on like various mythologies. So he's got a lot on Greek mythology, a series on Egyptian mythology, and he's expanding on the Greek mythology with a series specifically about Apollo. And he is doing a Norse mythology series now. So I read the second book in each of those series. And he's one of my favorite authors. He's hilarious. They're for young adults, but the books are just funny as shit. And like that, they're for kids, but they can still be funny, with not making like dumb jokes. I don't know how to explain it, but he's an amazing author. And I've always been into mythology, so those are entertaining. So it was like The Dark Prophecy, which was the second book in the series about Apollo. Really, Apollo in his books is kind of an idiot. And so this series that is out here is Apollo fucks up in a really bad way, and Zeus is punishing him by making him a human. So the books are about him like having to deal with being a human and trying to be like, oh, I need to be a god again because being a human sucks ass. And then the Norse series is in its second book as well, and it's just got a lot of really interesting characters. So those were mine because I got to read both of those this year, and of course, as I do generally is whenever the new book comes out, I go and reread all the books. So it was like I was rereading all of his other books again. So that was a good experience for me this year.
So what you're saying is you want me to start pulling some of this Apollo's human and an idiot?
No.
Perfect.
No. He is
Perfect. You're
dumb
gonna meet
as fuck.
You're gonna
in
meet
these
some
books.
guy that's just completely idiotic, and you're gonna be like, "Shit, that might be Apollo." Now you already
He comes
gave
up
the
and he's
idea
like,
to the
I'm
man.
an old beggar that I'm definitely not Apollo. Ignore the sun behind me.
Yeah, no, it's bad. He's so stupid. He's so stupid.
Stupid is, stupid does.
I think that pretty much covers all of us. That I think we all roughly did about 5 of these things, and
Yep.
Yeah.
I know a lot of mine were entertainment based. A lot of games and movies and books and podcasts and things of that nature. But those were really the things that stuck with me because, I mean, most of them were like they were that, but it was the experience I got with it. Like some of the things that I left off actually were Dark Souls. Like playing Dark Souls again with you, Brian, was probably one of the highlights of my year. And like the DLC that came out, that was like a first time for me to go through and play. That was amazing. I absolutely loved the Dark Souls 3 DLC, and going back through and playing the first part with you, it was just one of my favorite things in there too. So it's like all of my stuff was basically what I had in there.
Yeah, I ended up nixing entertainment ones too. I had nixed off the list Stranger Things 2, The Incredibles 2 announcement. And then the other thing for me was just like I actually this year have made serious progress on writing my novel and fleshing out ideas for a game that I've wanted to make for quite a while.
It's called Michelle Souls, and you see,
This is what you do: is you're fighting this idiot Apollo the entire time.
But here's the kicker: you can team up with a shitty podcast.
Well, though those are some of our favorite things for the year. Feel free to go ahead and get a hold of us, as we never actually say in the podcast. We do have a Facebook page. We do have a Twitter account. All of these things are linked in the show notes. If you want to check those out, we have all of our own personal Twitter accounts in there as well. If you want to get a hold of us on any of these certain things, like if you've watched Westworld, I'm ready to talk. So those are some of our favorite things. Feel free to send us, post on our page, some of your favorite things that you were able to go through this year and things that you were able to experience for yourself. So I think that's pretty much all we have. So,
well, we got to end it like we did last year, right?
Yeah.
You got to end like we did last year and just say 2017 just got dunked on.
Laugh, bitches.